Hello students, today we will be discussing about set off and carry forward of losses under Income Tax Act. So set off basically means that you are adjusting your losses against either within the same head or across different heads in the same year. Means whatever, there are 5 heads of income and in any head you are making any loss, you can do the adjustment within the same heads or against different heads in the same year. We will see a simple example to understand this concept. If losses cannot be adjusted, if whatever losses under head they cannot be set off, you can definitely take it forward. That is, you can carry forward the losses for future year to be set off against the future income. Certain losses, for example, capital loss and speculative loss from derivatives options trading, have to be set off against some specific restriction, and there are some adjustment rules that we will understand how to do set off when there is capital loss, capital gain loss, or speculative business loss. Let us take a simple example. We know that there are 5 heads of income. So these are the 5 heads of income: salary, house property, capital gain, PGBP, and other sources. A person can make income from either of these 5 heads. For example, if SSC is making income from salary as 5 to 1 lakh, house property 2 lakh, capital gain is 1 lakh, PGBP business is 1 lakh, and other sources is 50,000. If we add all these 5 heads of income, we are getting a gross total income of 5 lakhs 50,000. Now let us take the same example. So in the same example, the salary is 1 lakh, house property is 2 lakh, but this time the SSC is making a loss of capital gain from 1 lakh, and PGPP is 1 lakh, and other sources 50,000. If we add all this, we are getting as a gross total income of 3 lakh 50,000. So we are using this loss to adjust against the profit, other heads profit. So this is called as set off. So if you see our income of 5 lakh 50,000, because of this set off have reduced to 3 lakh 50,000. So if your income reduces, you end up paying less tax. So set off rules helps the SSC to reduce the income. But in this case, if this capital gain loss you cannot set off, you can definitely carry forward this loss for future year to be set off against capital gain profit. But if you carry forward this loss and if you are not able to adjust in the current year, so your new income will be 4 lakh 50,000. In this case, 4 lakh 50,000, because 1 lakh you are not able to set off, and this 1 lakh you are carry forward in next year. Whenever there is a profit of capital gain, you can set off this 1 lakh with that profit of capital gain. So from set off, we have two important aspects. One is intra-head adjustment. Intra-head adjustment basically means that within the head, like for example, house property, there is profit, there is loss, you can set off this. Or capital gain, there is profit, there is loss, you can set off it. Within the heads, within this head, you can set off, make the adjustment. That is called as intra-head adjustment under section 60. And then we have interhead. Interhead adjustment, that is amongst two different heads. Like suppose for example, if you are making loss here and profit here in capital gain, you can do set off against two different heads. So under section 60 we will learn that. So there are some restriction and there are exemptions in both section 70 and 71 that we will discuss now. So under section 70 intra-head adjustment, if suppose you are making a loss from house property, you can set off that against income from house property. That is intrahead. Let us take a simple example. If you are making a income from house property of 1 lakh rupees, and if you are making a loss of 50,000 from house property too, so both the income are in same head, that is house property, that is intrahead, and you can do adjustment, set off here, and your new income from house property will be 50,000. That is 1 lakh minus 50,000, 50,000. So this is a adjustment called as intra-head adjustment under section 70. Now we will see some exceptions that is not allowed. That is intra-head adjustment. Certain points are there. You cannot be adjusting that income. First one is long-term capital loss. Like if you are making long-term capital loss, long-term capital gain loss, it is allowed to be set off only against long-term capital gain. That is long-term capital loss can be set off against only long-term capital gain. And but short-term capital loss can be set off against long-term or short-term capital gain. This point needs to be remembered whenever we are doing intra-head adjustment. Second important point is speculative business. If someone is doing any type of speculative business and making a loss, that is derivative options, and you are suffering any loss from stock market with derivatives options trading, this loss can be set off only against profit, speculative profit, not with any other profit. So whenever you are making speculative loss and you are making speculative profit, from that profit only you can adjust the loss and not from any other business profit. But losses from other business is allowed to be set off with speculative business profit. So if you're making speculative business profit, you can set off your loss from any other business. But the opposite is not allowed. Loss cannot be set off against any other profit from business. Third important point is loss from activity of owning and maintaining race horses. This can be set off only against activity of owning and maintaining race horses. So loss from this can be set off against only from the profit of this same income. Next one is specified business which are mentioned under section 35 AD can be set off against that business only. So these 4 points needs to be remembered. If we summarize this, long-term capital loss can be set off only against long-term capital gain. Short-term capital loss can be set off against long-term or short-term capital gain. Speculative loss can be set off only with speculative loss. Other business loss can be set off with other business profit, including speculative business profit. Then loss from activity of owning and maintaining race horses with profit of that in head. And losses from speculative business can be a specific business under section 35 against specific business profit only. So this rules has to be remembered in order to solve the problem related to set off and how to set off takes place whenever intra-head adjustment are there. Now next we will see inter-head adjustment. For example, loss under one head can be set off against profit from other head income. We will take a simple example. Suppose you are making income from short-term capital gain of 2 lakh rupees and you are making a loss from business as 1,20,000. 1,20,000. Then you can do a inter-head. This is one head, and this is second head. So these 2 heads can be set off. So gross total income after set off is 80,000. That is from 2 lakh you are reducing 1,20,000. Here also we have to see some rules in order to understand inter-head adjustment. So first rule is loss under capital gain cannot be set off against profit in under any other heads. So if you are making loss in capital gain, any loss, whether short-term capital loss or long-term capital loss, you cannot adjust that with any other remaining 4 heads. So capital gain against all 4 is not allowed. Next point is, so capital loss can be set off against capital gain only. So loss can be set off against capital gain profit only. Next point is loss under PGBP cannot be set off against salary. So PGBP cannot be set off against salary income. Next one is speculative loss, as we have discussed, and loss from activity of owning and maintaining horse races cannot be set off against any other head of income, not allowed. And loss from lottery, that is income from other sources, is not allowed to be set off at all. So these were about 4 points which you need to remember while understanding inter-head adjustment. So now we will discuss about set off losses, how to do the set off of losses in a summary table form. So house property loss can be set off intrahead within the head. Yes, you can set off. Interhead you can set off against any other head of income, but maximum 2 lakh rupees you can be allowed to. Business loss you can set off intrahead within the head, but you can interhead also you are allowed to adjust except salary as we discussed. Speculative business only with speculative profit, and it is not allowed to be set off against any other head of income. Short term capital loss. So first thing is capital loss has to be set off against capital loss, capital profit only, and it is not allowed to be set off against any other head. But if you're making short term capital loss, you can set off against short term capital gain or long term capital gain. Next one is long term capital loss is not allowed to be set off against any other head as we have mentioned, but long term capital loss can be set off only against long term capital gain. Next one is loss from other sources are allowed to be set off against intra-head set off within the head, and it is also allowed to be set off against any other head except lottery. Winning from lotteries you cannot set off with any other head. So these are very important set of losses. One more important point is whenever you are doing a set off, first you have to do intra-head set off. Once you do intra-head set off, then you have to go inter-head set off. Now we will look at the carry forward of losses. Once you have done with the set of rules, what are the rules for carry forward of losses? We will see now. So if suppose type of losses are there, house property loss is there. You can, and house property loss is not in a current year is not being set off with any other head of income. You can carry forward the loss for next 8 years. And in future, you can set off this only with the house property income. That's it. So you can, if 1 year you are making a loss of 1 lakh and you are not able to set off that 1 lakh with the with current year, you can carry forward 8 years and this 1 lakh can be set off against once you make a profit of 1 lakh from any other 1 lakh with house property income only, not from any other head of income. Same applies to business loss. If you're making business loss and if you're not able to set off that loss, you can carry forward that for 8 years. But here, whenever you carry forward, you can set off this only with business income only. And the rule does not apply that business loss can be set off with any other head except salary, because whenever you are carry forwarding, you can carry forward only on the condition that you can set off this loss with business income only in future for next 8 year, within next 8 year. Speculative loss 4 years only with speculative loss, and capital loss 8 years only with capital gain. So these are carry forward of losses. So please remember house property 8 years, business loss 8 years, speculative loss 4 years, and capital loss 8 years. Now let us take a simple example. Suppose business loss is 1,50,000 and capital gain is 50,000. Now whenever business loss is there and there is capital gain can be set off, and set off is allowed, and you have a loss 50,000 you can adjust, and you have a loss of 1 lakh rupees. This 1 lakh rupees you can carry forward for next 8 years, but you have to make sure that this business loss has to be set off only with business income in next year. So that is the condition that is there whenever you are for carry forwarding any loss, business loss. So this 1 lakh can be carried forward. So in this video lecture we have learned what is the meaning of set off, what is the meaning of carry forward, and what are the rules involved in set off and carry forward. For next lecture, video lecture, we will be solving some basic problem of set off and carry forward. Thank you, students.